Hello everybody, we're back at Salute and I'm joined by Jack from Masterstroke Games with a whole medieval Renaissance thing going on behind me here. It's a very colourful stand. Can you tell me what is going on and what have you brought to Salute?
So we are doing a new game called Force of Virtue. It's early Renaissance, so Borgia's, Italian Wars. It's, at the moment, the first edition is set in the kind of crumbling ruins of Rome as the Borgias struggle with the mercenary warlords that govern the city. So you have crumbling Roman ruins that you're fighting for artifacts around, political machinations, heavily skirmish game. So we wanted most of the design team has a background in historical fencing and reenactment, hence Masterstroke, which kind of refers back to the medieval manuals we study. But so we wanted something that really did justice to the period and allowed for fun, quick campaign play. It plays in 4 to 5 minutes, it's 1 to 15 models, and you use decks to build your warband. So you have cards that give you troops, give you armor, give you special effects based on the nation deck and the flavor of that time of the faction of the period, and then you can add on to that with your character decks like Dogs of War, which make your warband dastardly mercenaries, or Born to Battle, which are your peasant smashing knights, or your Renaissance man. The gameplay is based on a dice pool mechanic. So your officers have a pool of virtues, which are based on the 4 virtues described by a Renaissance fencing master. So depending on which dice you use to command your troops, on a crit, it will have a different effect. So if you're ordering your troops with speed, they'll be faster. If you're ordering them with prudence, they might defend better or strike for the tiny gaps in armor. So, and since it's a dice pool, every action, you're deciding how many dice you want to spend on that action. Okay. So you can either do one action, say, with a whole bunch of dice and max out for the round, or you can do a bunch of small actions which allow you to kind of spread it out, but you're more at a risk.
Yeah. So is this the first game you have developed then?
Yes.
And how long has it taken to put this together?
We started about 2013. There are long breaks in there, but it's been a bit of a labor of love over time. And we're releasing with 8 different decks. So I think that's like over 300 individual decks, individual card images, which was a lot of work. But we're happy to see it out there and see people enjoying it. It's heavily based on campaign play. So as you build your warband, for every objective you get in-game, you add another card to your warband.
Right.
So it's really easy, no bookkeeping campaign play.
Yeah.
And you have scenario cards that help you add special things like it's raining, so enemies' guns have less effect. You're fighting in a crumbling edifice where things might fall on you. It's night attacks, so ranged weapons are less effective.
When you're building your deck then, is the deck a set number of cards, and then when you build it for a game, you're building to that card number, so you're adding, if you get an objective, adds a card, it may not be used in the next game, or is it always expanding?
So you have your nation deck, and then you have up to 3 decks that you combined, and then you draw from for your warband. So every time you get an objective, you add it to your warband deck, and then when you play a game, you play it to a hand, so say 10 cards. As you get cards, it may expand your warband, so you may not use that all your cards in every game. Yeah. So you won't have a player running away with a huge warband. Yeah. It just gives you more options to tailor your force to the mission, right? And you can also use scenario decks. If one player only has 10 cards in their warband because they're new, and the other has 15, theoretically you could also take 5 scenario cards to even it out. So it's raining, some of your enemy's troops are hungover, they forgot to reload their weapons, and one of your officers has a very powerful friend, so you don't want to kill him. It's so you can
repercussions. You can the events then come in to help sort of balance, or you've got that rubber band mechanic where you get to pull back if somebody is getting ahead of you. Yeah. It's fascinating. How many factions then are in the sort of core game at the moment? Is there a lot of them, or is it because it's
5?
okay?
So we're focusing on Renaissance Rome. So we have Landsknecht, Italian Condottieri, Spanish, French, and Swiss. And then we have 4 character decks to flavor those. So your Dogs of War, Born to Battle, Renaissance Man, and Fires of Faith, or you're kind of like heretics or fanatics. Your Papal Guard, your stuff like that. And then you have the scenario deck on top of that. So it gives you a load of different options to do.
Other question I have, obviously all of these boards look absolutely gorgeous. They're all relatively small. Are they small because they're demo boards, or does this play on a very small table?
This is 2x2 or 3x3.
Oh, okay.
So it's handy. You can. I don't have usually space for having a board hanging around.
Yeah.
So I need something packable, and I need something that's fast play. So that's one reason why we designed it this way. So it's very much kind of focused on easy and low impact on both your budget and your timing.
Fantastic. If people want to find out about this or get their hands on it, where should they look?
So masterstrokegames.com. And if they want to find out more, we also have the link to our Discord group on there as well. And we're happy to kind of help out, and we love new players getting into it. So right now, all the decks are on pre-order, so you can get what you want. We're also selling the dice, tokens for tracking your virtue, and all the kind of added goodies.
The things that round out the gaming experience. Best part is they're actually stationed down south, so hopefully we'll be able to get them up to Coleraine at some point and play some games on camera.
I'd love that.
So would I. All you need to do is head north. If your feet get wet, you've gone too far. Back up. But there you are. Fantastic looking new game. Great time period. And a very flamboyant time period. There's such a splash of colour when you see the forces on the tabletop as well. So check out the website and join the Discord. Let us know what you think, if this is a period or a game that interests you. And we'll speak to you again soon. Hello everybody, I'm back at Salute and I'm with John Sutherland. And an absolutely magnificent gaming table set up for the Greek Wars, so Thebes and Sparta.
Yeah, it's 371. It's the Spartans in red and the Thebans in blue. There were about 25,000 men on the battlefield. We've got it at 1 to 8, so we've got about 3,000 figures on the table. These are the figures that I painted during COVID.
Right.
So these are my lockdown collection. And so I had painted about 500 before lockdown, and they were just staring at me in little boxes and had to be finished.
I mean, if you are stuck inside for an extended period of time, it was an ideal time for people to get involved and do some spectacular bits of hobby. This really takes it to a whole other level. What gaming system are you using for this?
I'm actually using an updated version of a set of rules that I bought in 1982. So that's a nice bit of vintage for you. So they haven't got all of the retro pain in the neck stuff like all of the bookkeeping and stuff that you used to have. But these guys are a base removal, much faster game, much more modern. Written really for convention gaming, which is very different from hobby gaming, really.
And this particular battle list was before the sort of, was it Mantinea, where Sparta lost the king to Thebes?
Almost exactly the same happened here, but earlier. So the Spartans never learned from their kicking at Mantinea that they got here. So, yeah, indeed, the big key thing is the depth of that Theban block. It was about 50 men deep compared to the conventional 25 man deep block, and they just rolled through them like a rugby pack.
Well, that was the Theban sacred bands sort of defining feature, the strength and depth.
Hey, absolutely, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's not going to be very many turns because the table's only 6 foot wide before we see that for real. So that will be quite interesting. But I've got a multinational team. I've got Danes, I've got Italians, and I've got people from South France all playing. They're all mates that we've picked up along the way. So
Fantastic stuff. You also write for Miniature Wargames.
I do. I do a monthly command decision piece for them. I also write wargame rules. I've just got a new set out with Caliber called Mad Dogs and Englishmen. It's a second edition. They're colonial, Indian Mutiny mainly, but I've done 2 huge scenario packs with 85 scenarios in. And I'm working on new scenarios either side of that. I've done several. I'm also the husband of Diane Sutherland, who's the Wargames widow, who does all the terrain features, magazines, articles. So
I have stolen many of her tips. The use of eggshell boxes to make flagstones and walls is sensational. And yeah, I've stolen that on many occasions.
Oh, she's around. She's taking photographs for me at the moment. So she'll be around, and you'll be able to recognise her with her coloured nails. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'll let you get back because I see the Spartans that possibly need a bit of a hand there.
Yeah,
but it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Lovely to see you.
All right, folks, we're going to move on. Let me know what you think below, and definitely check out Miniature Wargames and John's work. We'll speak to you soon. Hello, everybody. We are back at Salute, and I'm joined by Steve.
Hi there.
With a magnificent Gustavus Adolphus Death Ride game.
That's it.
So tell me a little bit about the game itself and who you are.
Okay, so if you look at it, they're all metal figures. Every manufacturer in 28mm. Some of them ECW, a lot of them 30 Years War. And I'm representing 2 regiments, Piccolomini's heavily armoured horse, fighting the Smarland Regiment, led by Gustavus Adolphus, because poor old Stonebock, his commander, had been shot in the foot. And what we're doing is playing it out, and what we're seeing is 2 regiments at 1-to-1 scale. There's 880 cavalry on the table. And what we're seeing is a slowing down of time. So if you imagine, this conflict probably happened over 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and we're going to take 7 hours to play it. And that's the way it goes. And people can come along and throw some dice, or they can stand and watch, or they can read about it. There's a few bits and bobs. And that's how it works.
So what system are you using for the actual game itself then?
Okay, the game is a rule system written by me. I wrote a set of rules called the Wargames, 1632. I started writing it about 10 years ago. And I decided to put it out there. It's one of my little babies. It worked very well. Caliber Books took it on for me and sold enough, so I sort of broke even on it. And then lots of people wrote to me. They liked, across the planet, there are people that do play it, and they like the rules, and they said, well, what about Poles? What about Turks? What about, I don't know what. So I said, okay, I'll give it a go. So we ended up writing a load of supplements, and then eventually they said, well, and I said, you can have it for free, it's all PDFs, download it. And people said, no, we want a book. So I said, well, look, you have to pledge. I'm not going to run a Kickstarter, but if you pledge for it, I'll do it. So for about 30 quid, I think. And I sold about 40 copies. So people do use it across. There's a guy here today from Rome. He spends part of his time here and part of his time in Rome. They've been playing with it. They played Lutzen a few weeks ago and enjoyed it. So there's lots of options really for people to use that system.
Yeah, I'm guessing it wasn't specifically written for playing out 16-foot long 1-to-1 scale games.
Well, there are some adaptations to it. So what we've done is to say all the rules are the same, except we have a command chain. So if you're the Swede player and you say, right, we're going to start, we're going to issue one order to the whole unit and it's going to go forward. That's fine as long as they can all see each other. As long as everybody is in order all the way along and they're within 3 inches of each other, you can issue an order that will be followed. The minute there's disorder, that breaks down. So you can issue it up to that point and they'll do what they're told. All the other guys then are tested on their captains. So if you look at a Swedish company, it's 3 troops. There's a captain in charge of the centre troop and there's a corporal in charge of the other 2. So if the captain can order those 3, or if you want one of the troops to do something different, or wheel to the flank and protect the flank, they have to test on the corporal. So we use different dice. It's always the same result. You need a 4. But if you're a colonel, it's a D10. If you're a captain, it's a D8. And if you're a corporal, it's a D6. So
Diminishing returns.
exactly.
Yeah. So how is the game currently rocking? When I seen it last night, everything was beautifully laid out on both sides of the table. Two magnificent armies squared off against each other. It seems to have engaged somewhat now, and there's a lot going on.
The first two moves were really easy. The Swedes came forward, and Pekka said, "Right, I'm going to get you guys," and said he was going to do his 3 phases, which is advance, advance, charge. So we did advance, advance, and the king said, "No, we're going to interrupt you now," because it's an interrupt mechanism. And they successfully interrupted him, and they counter-charged before they could launch their charge. And so it's all got snagged up. Some in here, there's a gap. One of the units has routed away one of the companies of the Imperials. See the Swedes pouring through. Similarly over there, they pushed some of the Swedes out. And what they did after they held the first charge, they said, "Right, we're going to drop back a few feet and shoot the hell out of you." So then it was pistol fire right the way along the front, and they took some damage. So now the first two moves were quick, and now this is move 3, and it's taking ages because we're going company by company down as we go.
I mean, over here on the Swedish right, it does look like they have absolutely nothing to worry about, but it's whether or not they'll actually be able to maneuver them into position to be effective.
They will need to show their initiative. So what will happen is he can't send them a message because there's a gap. So this captain here will say, "Oh, that'd be quite good if we could wheel on that flank." Similarly, these second ranks might say, "Oh, we ought to turn." And so there's going to be quite a lot of testing on various officers to see if they can get away with it.
Well, it's a magnificent sight. I'm so glad you brought it to Salute. I'm so glad I got a chance to see it.
Thank you very
and hopefully everybody enjoys it. And maybe Gustavus will survive this time.
Well, we hope so. He got killed when we played at my house as a test.
It's probably good then. It is, after all, the death ride of Gustavus Adolphus. Yeah. Let us know what you think, folks. It is a stunning, stunning piece of work. And everybody likes to see the Lion of the North. Sometimes they like to see him lying on the ground, though. Until next time, bye-bye. Hello, everybody. I'm back at Salute, and I'm at a magnificent table set up by the retired Wargamers. I'm joined by Paul.
Hi.
So, first things first, what are we looking at across this magnificent board?
This is the second day of the Battle for Carentan in Normandy in June 1944. If you watch Band of Brothers, episode 3, you'll remember in the first day they came round there and captured the town and the Paras pulled out. So the game we're playing today is the day after, where the Paras have pulled back to the hedge line. The US Paras are pushing forward, and 3rd Armoured is arriving, and 17th SS are arriving to support the Paras.
It's a magnificent board. Can we take a moment to talk about this?
Yeah.
How many people have worked on this?
80% of it's mine. And the other 20% is another 2 guys. And one more, a chap we call the Whittler, who's actually whittled all the boards for us.
Oh, right.
So, but he doesn't come to shows.
Oh, well.
He's not there.
Not sure if that's wise or tragic, really, but you know.
Yeah, I know.
So how long did it take you to put it together? Because I know it's been extended since previous visits.
The original boards were 9 months to do, and that was up to here.
Yep.
These 3 boards are new. That took us about a month. And the 4 aircraft are new as well. But all the rest of it's as it was.
So what system are you running the scenarios with?
Rapid fire reloaded. Which I have one there. So,
Very nice.
So, it's a very simple set of rules, but not simplistic. They're really good rules, great rules for World War II.
So what sort of a time scale is this being played out across then? Is it a full day?
A day, yeah. It's effectively a day, because by the end of the day, 17th SS, their counterattack had failed. The Germans almost reached Carentan, but didn't quite. And the Americans, once 3rd Armoured arrived, they were just too strong and pushed the Germans back. So that's kind of where we are.
It's a magnificent looking thing. How are things panning out already? Have you had a chance to get anybody on the board yet, or is it just set up and ready to go?
On board. The trouble is, because there's only 3 of us here, it's a bit difficult to get any playing time, because my whole thing about demo games is that people should be talking to people.
Yeah.
So many shows you go to, everyone's head down playing the game, nobody talks to you. So that's more important to us than actually, we can play this anytime we like. So, yeah. So, in fact, this is going to be our Christmas game in the show.
Oh, well, that'll be a very Merry Christmas then. It's an absolutely sensational looking setup. Do you have a website or anything like that there, or is it just a local club or just a couple of friends?
Just a local group, yeah. There's about 8 of us in the group as a whole. We meet sort of, well, as I said, most of us are retired. So we do sort of like whole day games and things when someone feels like it. You know, go around, have a nice bit of lunch, play a few games. It's far better than working.
I can well believe it, although many people doubt what I do is work anyway. But this is an absolutely magnificent setup. It's possibly one of the prettiest tables I've seen in a long time. And when you come to something like Salute, there are an awful lot of really gorgeous tables, but the time and effort and even...
I had 2 kind of goals behind this. One was I realised, because I've got a 3D printer, because all these buildings are 3D printed, I realised I could, and I wanted to show off what you can do with the 3D printer. It's not just the buildings, the railway track, the canal walls, lots of stuff, bridges, that's all 3D printed. And also, I've done show games since 2003. This was going to be my last year of doing the show games, because, you know, took 9 months to build. It took up the games table for 9 months, so there's no gaming while we're building.
Yeah.
I don't want to play toy soldiers. I don't want to spend my time building show games. So I thought, well, if it's going to be my last one, I'm going to throw all the scenery skills I know at it and just do my best. And that's what's come out.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful work. Paul, it's a pleasure to see this. I'm so glad you brought it. I'm so glad we had the time to talk to you. Let us know what you think below, folks. We're going to move on and see who else is here at Salute and what they have with them. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Salute. I'm joined by Mick, and we are at the Royal Air Force's lovely brown water table for a bit of Vietnam action, entitled Never Get Out of the Boat.
Never Get Out of the Boat. So I'm sure if you've seen the movie Apocalypse Now, you're familiar with Chef's line. And all you got to do today is get the boat, get Captain Willard upriver. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what indeed?
What could go wrong? Yeah, what could go wrong within one of our games? Nothing ever silly or daft happens in one of our games, does it?
No, you're the very description of plodding gameplay comes to mind when I think of RM. Oh no, hang on a minute. That's entirely backwards. So, obviously we've got the patrol boat at one end. They have to navigate. What system have you put in place for this?
It's a homebrew set of our own rules because nothing's ever quite daft enough for us, so we've got to come up with it ourselves. And basically, the river current is pushing you downstream, then you've got to get your engine revved up fast enough to go upstream, fighting the current and the VC and the wildlife as you go. And that's pretty much the back of a fag packet version.
So what can people expect to see if they were playing this game then? Because I see a little set of cards with ambush scattered on the top of them.
We have some random event cards because randomness, well, war is random. I mean, to quote Sherman, war is hell. So there's ambushes, there's other objectives, like Chef might want to go find a mango tree.
He might
want to do that.
He wouldn't be wise to do so, but he might do so, yeah. So who put this together then? Was it a massive club effort?
It was a club effort. We've had several members of the club put it together. Dave built the actual table. I painted a lot of the miniatures. Big thanks to Empress for making beautiful miniatures for us. And obviously for everyone, it's their boat and crew. Our NVA or Empress, we've got Rubicon, plastic, VC, which are gorgeous. They are absolutely gorgeous miniatures. We're not sponsored by anyone, but go check out Rubicon and Empress. And the trees are actually, they'll go back to the Beasts of War days. And we built them a few years ago for another game, and we brought them back out for this, and they still look great. But yeah, scratch-built terrain. The buildings are Sarissa. Sandpans are war bases, and it's just been built and put together by the club. And yes, thank you everyone that made the cool stuff for us to buy and use.
That's the way to do it. Have you had many people play through the game yet, and has anybody actually managed to get upriver?
We've had 2 playthroughs, and I think one's got upriver and one had to go the other way to give Kilgore his surfboard back.
Oh dear. Because Charlie don't surf. There's no point in them keeping it.
Yeah, Charlie don't surf, yeah.
There you go, folks. As always, the RAF put on a great spread. Never anything up in the air, though. For some unknown reason, they want to keep themselves grounded.
Keep posted. We may actually be doing an aerial game in the future if things work out, but that's not 100% yet. We'll see.
Okay, well, for the time being, we're going to leave you with the Brown River Navy, and we're going to move on and see what else is here at Salute.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.